Hi everybody, welcome back to Elixir's Cards. Today we're going to be following 5 of my cards from my PC that are going to be submitted to HGA for grading. I went ahead and did a 10-day submission, and I just want to share with everybody watching what the process is like, what to expect, a few tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, and overall really a beginner's guide or something that I wish was more accessible when I first started grading cards in general. I appreciate everybody following along, and I'm excited to see what these cards come back with. Here are the 5 cards we'll be submitting. We've got one of one Genesis, 2 Hunter Renfro, and then the bottom left there is 1 out of 10 Henry Ruggs. So we have selected create order on the website here. Now it's time to put in the player's name that we're going to be doing. This search function is pretty convenient if you know how to spell. As you can tell, I do not. So you want to go through, usually I first start out by looking for pretty basic things, player name, year, set, and then we go from there. The interesting piece is if the player has not had a card submitted for this set through HGA, it doesn't automatically just pop up. So sometimes you'll have to go through more specific options, like I see here, Josh Jacobs, 2020 Mosaic number 104, and then I was able to find Genesis. As you can see, now that we've selected the right Josh Jacobs card for our submission, it auto-populates down below, and it does add everything grayed out, which means it can't be changed. It is convenient so that you don't go back and accidentally make a mistake. I like that feature, definitely. Now here we are, we're going to be adding a card that hasn't ever been submitted through HGA's system. As you can tell, I'm going to fumble through this and look for it a few times, try to spell it out, because I know that sometimes the search function can be a little bit clunky. Really it boils down to if the card has been submitted, it's going to be in there. In this case, it's a 1 of 1. I should have known better than have to go through and do all that searching. Instead, I will be clicking the Add Manually button on that right-hand side. So just a little tip there. All right, now we've hit the Add Manually button. We're going to go through, we're going to select the manufacturer, the year, and then the set. After that, the player is going to be entered. Really crucial to make sure that we get our spelling correct here. The next step is card number. This is, of course, on the back of the card. And then if there is a variation by name, you can go ahead and just type it in there. Once again, make sure your spelling is correct. There might be some implementations where if you've got incorrect spelling, you can get it corrected once you've submitted, but why not measure twice and cut once, as they say. Now that we've got the correct card in there, we're going to talk about labels a little bit. So there is 9 type of label options here. Go ahead and pause this if you want to check out what they are. I personally prefer neutral match card. That's my favorite option. The 9th one that's not listed is custom. One thing I'm really excited about is now you can click this button here and you can give input about what you want the custom label to look like. So that's going to be the next thing that I'll do now that you see I've got all 5 cards uploaded here. So we'll pop it open, see the custom label notes here. And now we're on the right card. I just want them to incorporate a specific piece of the card into a really generic option. I've never done this before, so this is my first attempt. This is one of the things that I'm really excited to see how it comes out and how they take my request into consideration. Once again, it always helps if you can spell better, which please hold on a minute while I struggle through that. But I just want them to put the 1 of 1 after the player's name and kind of stick with a neutral theme here of matching the card to the label. So we're wrapping up our request here for the label. And then the last thing I want to do before I click continue to step 2 is just make sure I've got everything correct. All the pieces are right. And then we're on to step 2 here. Step 2 is going to be address info, so I will skip showing that. Here we're looking at turnaround times. You can go through this information on the website. I personally selected 10-day. I've done everything from 30 to 60-day turnaround, a little bit of everything. The last steps here are going to be to review and submit your order. There was some sensitive information, so we skipped over adding that to the video. All right, so here we are. We have now submitted on the website our order for HGA. It's time to just talk about what to do, what to expect when packaging your order. There's a few things we'll talk about here, like the type of packaging that you'll need your box to be, just best processes for how to package the cards themselves, and then just tips and tricks that I personally use. I don't think this is necessarily specific or exclusive to me, just some things that I've picked up along the way. All right, so the packaging instructions note a few different things. Number one, we need the cards to be in the right order as they're listed on the packing slip. So for me, that would be like this. So we'll go through and we'll make sure that when we finalize everything and we wrap it in bubble wrap, that this is the order that they go in. So number one, keep it the order of what's on the packing slip. Now, individually, before we get to putting this in a box, we want to talk about what to do with the cards themselves. So HGA gives you a few options. Number one, they say you can use a card saver. For those not familiar, this is a card saver. It's a more rigid sleeve in essence for the card. What you'll notice, I have got these tabs here for easy pulling of the card. Everything that I do when submitting an order is truly based around eliminating human error as much as possible. So before it even gets in the card saver, I am taking a light to it, making some observations of what I feel could get marked, could get dinged, surface, corner, centering. I don't necessarily use a centering tool, but those are just some things I look out for. After that, I'm going to use this microfiber cloth. I went through and I wiped the card, and I really start at the middle, moving out towards each corner. The goal, as everybody can understand, is really not to damage these corners here. And especially on a card like this where the corners are black, it's very easy to see if corner has been bent or anything like that. From there, after I do that wipe down, I do put it into a new card sleeve. Want to make sure it's just fresh out of the pack. These are relatively cheap. I think they call them penny sleeves for a reason. So using a brand new one every time I put a card in the card saver, that's one thing that I make sure to do. Before it goes into the card saver, I do adhere these Post-its to be able to pull the card out easy for the person grading them. Just want to make sure that they don't have to jam their fingers inside, and any potential damage we can avoid is going to be better in the long run. Now, HGA, unlike some other grading companies, does give you alternative options for how to submit. The alternative option would be to use a traditional top loader. This is a very thick card in comparison to this one here. If we just look at the top, I mean, world of difference. I personally struggle to get thick cards into card savers, so having the option to use a top loader with just a piece of tape on it to keep everything in there tight and neat, I'm much more comfortable with that than trying to jam this into a card saver. Might just be because I don't have a lot of experience, but really something that I prefer to do. Let me know what you think and what you choose to do if submitting a thick card. Nonetheless, some things that I do for sending a top loader in, make sure to use painting tape, and I create this little pull tab. Just fold it in on itself so that the grader or whoever's unpackaging these does not need to scratch the back and get that tape to pull up. You'll hear it a few more times. I want to eliminate all possible risk. All right, so from there, once I've got the cards loaded up, they've been assessed and cleaned, and I have some feeling about how I feel like the grade should go, I am ready to put it in the box itself. So let's stack them back in that order that we submitted on the website, or the packing slip order. Get this one here, and this Hunter Renfro. So now we've got all these together. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find an unmarked box. This is something that my girlfriend just received a order, and I ripped the paper off, as you can see. It's going to be great. It's the right size. I went ahead and put in a piece of bubble wrap in there so that the cards have something nice to sit on. The next thing is the bubble wrap that the cards go in. Just a simple fold up here. Boom, boom. Just want to make sure that they're safe and secure for their travel. We know sometimes packages can get thrown around. I actually prefer to put a little piece of tape on the back. I don't have my tape with me, so we'll just pretend that's going on. Then we just need to put it in. And then on top of here, we just lay the packaging, the packing slip. And from there, we will write on the sides 10-day, or the designated time frame that your order was submitted under. So if you're doing a 2-day, you put 2-day. If you're doing a 10-day, you put 10-day. If you're doing 60, you put 60. Makes it easier for them at receiving. So from here, we're really ready to send this out, and I can't wait to share with you what grades we get on these cards. I'm really excited to see what we've got. Thanks again, everybody.